That's a tune. Absolute tune. Can't stop singing it now.
I don't know that one.
That's Where's Your Head At? That's just.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I only know that one bit. It's not a favourite song of mine.
It's not a favourite song of yours.
Nope.
Hold on, let me see. That's Where's Your Head At? That's just.
Oh, is it?
You're so much louder than me for some reason. But there's no echo, which is good. I think what I need to do is turn this volume up. That's better. That should be me louder. Let's just check. Apologies, listeners. We will get to the start. Come on, catch up. Hurry up and catch up. Hurry up and catch up. Hurry up and catch up. Which is good. I think what I need to do is turn this. Sorry, listeners, but it's better than last week. That's better. That should do. Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another 42 Level 1. I'm one of your hosts, Alistair Kennedy. And here with me, as always, the former Twilight Princess of all games, the current Twilight Princess of YouTube, the Uncharted 3 denier himself, the man of many names, but we just call him one, Andy.
It's Andy Urquhart here, as always. Uncharted 3 still sucks.
No, you're the denier. You're the denier and you're the Uncharted 2 liar. It is a brilliant game. But yes, we are back. Apologies last week for 34 minutes of the show. It was fine when I was speaking, but thanks to Streamlabs and Discord doing updates. And Windows 11, obviously, which it kept insisting doing every time I started my computer. Which I hate now because what it's done is squashed, like... The Windows key should always be bottom left, and for some reason this squashes them all in the middle. It looks awful. Have you seen this, Andy? Look, I'll show you what I mean. You can tell why I'm frustrated.
I've seen Windows 11, yeah. I haven't upgraded my computer to it. I don't think my computer could take Windows 11, to be fair.
No, it would probably die, but you can see why I'm
supposed to be better for gaming, though. Windows 11, better for gaming.
Good for me. You can see there that the Windows icon it should be in the bottom left corner, like the very left, and it's not. It's just in the middle. It's just really annoying being there for the start menu. It's like
right. Pretty sure you could probably move that.
I don't know how to do it, so I'm not interested.
If you did 5 minutes of research, you could find out how to move that.
Quite possibly. But then this is the same guy that's worked with. Like,
this is a lazy man.
No, this is the guy that's worked with like audio for years, doing the show and stuff, figuring out problems, and then lost 2 full days of work at work because he forgot to check to see whether the microphone was actually on or muted, and when he went to edit them all on Friday, he was like, fuck. And it's not even like there's recoverable audio. It's not like it was a mistake. There's no audio. There's like a video of 15 minutes of me going, and I was like, so I've had a stressful week so far, and it's only Tuesday.
Blooper reel, mate. Blooper reel.
There's no bloopers because it's silent. There's nothing to bloop. It was the best takes I'd done as well. So,
send me the video. I'll dub it for you.
No,
I'll say funny things.
No. So yes, apologies for last week's shenanigans. They were fixed. If you're going, well, let's see if these guys can actually do sound. We can do sound. It's just last week I messed up. My fault. But after 34 minutes,
you also messed up.
No, this week's fine. 34 minutes. This week I messed up with my stuff at work, but like 34 minutes in of last week's show, and the audio for Andy is fixed. The up to 34 minutes, the audio of me is fine, but the audio of you is not, unfortunately, and it's still too bright. It's maybe better. So yes, we are back. We're going to talk games. There's a few news stories we're going to chat. I hope everybody's well. I hope Andy's well. He looks well as always. He's just watched soccer ball. I assume there's been a good result for him. He's smiling. But yes, I don't care about football. We're not here to talk about that. Although I will say, we were flicking through Netflix for something to watch the other night, and Tash went, "Oh, what's this? Neymar? What's Neymar? That looks kind of cool, like the Joker mask." I went, "That's not Neymar, Tasha." And I went, "I don't watch football, but he's one of the biggest footballers in the world. He's caught, even before Fortnite, I knew who Neymar was." And he just has funky like graphic design logos for a lot of his work, and and she went, "So who is Neymar?" I went, "It's Neymar. His name's Neymar." And then I went, "Do you know any other footballers?" And she said, "Yeah, I know the one guy with the teeth, Cristino." And I went, "Do you mean Cristiano Ronaldo?" She did. Big Cristino. So yes,
the teeth.
He does have big teeth.
It's just all of them, like all of them have teeth.
Well, some of Chris Boyd, I'm sure, has only got like 3, but he's from an older time of football.
Yes, he's a pundit now, so he is.
I know he's a pundit. He's from Taboton, actually. He's okay. It was Rangers and Kilmarnock he played from, sure, I think.
Oh.
Might be wrong. Not for very long, but yeah. He was in the wrong era. He was in the upcoming era of the Cristinos of the world, and he should have been in the world of the Andy Gorhams and Ali McCoys. That's what I think. He was dragged out of that era. But yes, we are back this week, and we've given Pokemons to talk. We didn't really talk about it much last week because the second apology has to come from Andy because he totally screwed up the PlayStation Direct in more ways than one. Before the show, he said, "Are we going to do the Direct?" I went, "Yeah, we'll just rush through the games." And then it turned out that not only was the Direct not on that night, but the Direct was on Gran Turismo 7, and we're not really getting much to say about it apart from Gran Turismo 7.
My apologies.
Gran Turismo 7's out next month. That's it. If you'd really like cheesy car videos, then sure, go and watch it. I mean, I like Gran Turismo and I'll maybe get it. Well, I'm going to get it, let's not lie, but I have no interest in watching that. But yes, the main discussion this week will be in Pokemon. But before we get to that, Andy, I finished 2 games this week. I finished 2.
Oh.
So one of them, I actually was disappointed last night, and I've messaged you. I was absolutely raging because I went for a bath, and then I came out, and my wife was in bed, and I was like, cool, I'm going to take the PS5 downstairs, because my son, very grave, very strong, would kill himself or kill my PlayStation. I don't want either happening. And I bring it down at night, and I take it back up when I go to bed. And I was like, oh, great, I got my snacks ready, Andy. I got my juice ready, I got a cup of tea ready, I had custard cream sitting just in case I wanted to have some, and I sat down and went, I wonder how this is going to end, and I loaded up Uncharted The Lost Legacy that I said I was going to start last week after finishing 2 and 3, and I went, as a pit load, I went, I finished this, I completed this like 2 nights ago. I was so disappointed, I was so disappointed, I was like, not in the game, we'll get to the game in a minute, but I was that way where I was like, that's it then. That's Uncharted.
It was quite a short game, like.
It was. I'll say that, right. We'll get into talking about it then. So it was longer than I gave it credit for, and I touched on this before. This got announced as DLC originally. They said it was going to be DLC, and I just put it down to DLC. And as you know, I wasn't the biggest Uncharted fan. I loved Uncharted 4, but even when I finished Uncharted 4, Andy, I'd never finished. I think I finished 1 on the hype run up to Uncharted 4, but I never finished 2 and 3 till the last few weeks there. So I've got a different look on the series now. I absolutely love it. But Lost Legacy, I just pushed aside as DLC. I'm not going to bother with. And every year you were like, get it. You need to play it because you liked Uncharted 4. Get it. Why don't you play this? And anytime it's in sale, you're like, why don't you play Lost Legacy? I understand now. And I know you're a big I love going a female character guy, and I'm not, and it's nothing to do with like not liking women. I'm married and I've got a daughter, but it's more to do with how I can relate. So like, I also bought a new game this week because this discussion of choosing your gender at the start of some games will come into play. However, you always said, Chloe's great, and I'm like, Chloe kind of sucked and was barely in Uncharted 2 and 3. Like, she was basically like Catwoman. But Lost Legacy gave me a different appreciation. Lost Legacy is set in India, and you meet up with, I cannot remember the woman's name, but she was the leader of Shoreline that you fought against in 4. She was one of the bad guys from 4.
Yeah, it's Nadine.
So she's pretty cool in this. Do you know what? The relationship between Chloe and Nadine's probably as interesting. No, it's about as interesting as Sully and Nate, because Sully's kind of his foster dad in a way, sort of adopted dad, it turns out. But I would definitely say it's better than Sam, the brother that came out of nowhere. Like,
retconned a brother in for him, like out of nowhere. That was
out of nowhere. Remember, and they just talked. They didn't even like try and ease into it. Like Nate didn't know. It's like, my brother that I don't ever speak about, but it's plausible. They did it in a plausible way, and I liked how Sam showed up in this and was kind of the buffoon sort of character to Chloe and Nadine. And I liked the whole back and forth of Nadine not trusting her and then figuring out she worked. And I love the wee nods, like you know those Drake brothers, don't you? And she's like, I know Nate well, Sam not so much. And turns out she's, what's a discussion? A discussion. Kolino Borisovich Volgin says, what's a discussion? Well, it's kind of like a discussion, but a discussion. So I've obviously spelt it wrong in the title for this game. So enjoy the discussion. It's a discussion. Discussion. I'm discussing this with my friends. Yeah, we'll get to it. It's just a discussion. But thanks, Colonel. I don't know if I need to salute because you're a Colonel. But yes, thank you. So, Uncharted Lost Legacy, well worth playing. And I mean, I got it for £10, and it was the PS5 version. It's been on sale for that before. Like I've actually seen it on sale at £10. So for me,
Yeah.
I might go back to Uncharted 4 at some point, like down the line. It is a game that I do want to replay. I've always said I'll need to replay it to see if I actually do like it better than Black Flag. But then obviously I played Ocarina of Time after the fact. But like Uncharted 4 I remember being good. And the thing is, I don't remember a lot of Uncharted 4 now. I just remember going to Scotland going, this is great. I love this game. So yeah, Lost Legacy, really good game. You're set in India and you end up going to the jungles. There's some cool parts with the temple. There's some, I would argue this is get the best puzzling in the series, like the part especially where you had to jump across the sort of platforms and the big statues swung the sword at you. I really enjoyed that part, and you kind of had to jump forwards and back, and really, really cool. And some of the views, is it Vespas they call them? I don't know. The views, the vistas, some of the vistas.
Vistas, yeah, vistas.
Fucking vistas, and what's the other one they call it? Biomes.
XPs.
Fucking
Windows XP. Yeah.
Biomes and vistas and stuff like that, like just to make your words sound fancy, you bastards. So like the views are all cool. I really like it. I just don't. Although I said this out loud just there. Well, I was going to say it out loud, but when I was playing it, I was like, there is no way these characters would use Sony phones, because they do use Sony Xperias. And then I'm like, actually, if you were going and the phone could get damaged, you probably would take a Sony Xperia over a good
Take
phone.
Yeah,
You'd leave your Samsung or iPhone or that at home, and you would take the old Sony Xperia out the drawer. So I really did enjoy this one. I like, for some reason, I think it harks back to Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, where it was in the city streets of Paris for a change instead of tombs. And at the start of this, when you're running through the streets of India, I was like, this is actually really cool. Like the modern day sort of tomb raiding, if you will, like climbing up the buildings and stuff, always appealed to me. And sure, Nate got it in the first three and the fourth one to an extent, but a lot of that is like, it all feels like you're running through the streets of Aladdin. Like it's all sunny, it's sandy, it just all feels like, I know Yemen was in, I can't even think of all the places he's been to, but it all feels samey. Whereas when you played in this, like India felt like a whole different environment, like walking through the initial market and then the rooftops and the civil war going on. It's absolutely crazy. And the open world in this, which is your main section, is actually better than the advertised open world part of Uncharted 4 that you just drive forwards. Like, you can get out and explore. Why? There's 2 treasures and a gold gun. No, just keep driving. Like, whereas this, you actually feel like exploring. There's like wee sort of base camps that you can take out and things like that. I felt the combat was really good in this one. I know it was good in 4 as well, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I was so disappointed sitting down last night going, oh, I finished this one already. But oh hey, I will go back to them. I did actually load up Uncharted 1 Drake's Fortune again to try and finish it at a harder difficulty, because I'm just now obsessed with the series, and I would rather play through them now that I've got this deeper appreciation of them than I did before. I do like them better than Tomb Raider. I do think it's a Sony system seller, so if anyone ever argues with me now about what system sellers Sony has, outside of Gran Turismo, I can now say Uncharted, because I'm not as big as you into the new breed of Sony exclusives as you maybe are. Like Ghost of Tsushima was okay, like I didn't really like Horizon, and I can't think of any of the other ones, to be honest with you, because the Last of Us 2. Well, I like Last of Us 1. Horizon. I don't like them, but this is, they need to do more. Like, I can't see another Last of Us before this, and I know I will, but like I need Uncharted 5, and it would make no sense to be Nate's daughter. It has to be Chloe again. It has to be, or even Nadine. Just give me her. Like, either of them would make sense. Drop them somewhere else. I loved the comment where she said, I've never been to America because it's too young a country. It reminded me of the night years ago when I was talking to Chip about me having a statue outside my old flat that was older than the founding of the United States. Because the war memorial's in air, at Burns Statue Square. Yeah, I was like, that's outside my flat and it's older than the United States, which is crazy to think about. So she said she'd never been to America because there wasn't enough stuff to find there, basically. But yes, we'll get to the discussion soon. We're going to discuss all the Pokemons, or Pokemoms, as we're going to call it, because everything ends with a name. So I finished Lost Legacy. I bought a new game, Andy. I bought a brand new game because it went on sale. Because the last DLC's out for it, and I'm kind of glad I did. I was in the mood for it. This was kind of a knock-on effect of Uncharted being unplayable, but I bought it on Xbox because CD Keys had it cheap. It's also on sale if you want to buy it off of there instead. But I got Far Cry 6, and my reasoning behind that was it's been on sale twice now and it hasn't got any cheaper, and usually if it's going to drop significantly Black Friday and Christmas it does, and I watched for it both times. I loved Far Cry 5, so I thought might as well buy this, and so far this is really, really good. Far Cry 6, your character, you get to choose male or female, so obviously if you play it you would choose the woman, and do you know what just sets it off, and I knew it would, is it Giancarlo, I can't remember his name, Gustavo Fring from
Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh my god, just his presence. So basically at the start you're kind of with your friend, and I don't know if it's specifically said that it's set in Cuba, but it definitely feels like Cuba.
It's Cuba.
And you have to leave. Well, you're trying to get to Mexico to get a boat to Miami to start a new life. So the army invade the street. This is not spoilers outside the first 10 minutes, by the way, guys. So I did take...
Pretty much in the trailer, like we were talking about. It's pretty much in the trailer.
Pretty much in the trailer. So here we go. Yeah, so the army come and they start like rounding up people, killing them, telling them to get back to their houses. And the boat leaving by Mexico, you get onto it eventually, and then it stops. And there's a wee kid that you've been helping, and Gustavo Fring comes down the stairs, and the kid behind you, it's his son who's been trying to leave as well. He doesn't want to do his dad's stuff, and his presence and just like his whole monologue at the start, it's... They've had good monologues. Like Far Cry's known for, it's like, still villains, you know, here's what I'm going to do, here's what I'm doing. Like Far Cry 5, the guy... This can't be set in the same world as Far Cry 5 though, because the end of that game, spoilers for Far Cry 5, it turned out that Father Joseph was correct all along and the nuke was going to go off, and it did. So then we got Far Cry New Dawn, which was set in the same world after it. So this can't be in the same world. It just can't be. So basically, you end up... He sinks the boat, he shoots holes in the boat, and you end up on an island, and that's where the game starts. You basically get told by the girl that's with you to go and find the rebels. They'll help you. You learn about the guerrilla pass, and don't mean guerrilla like that. I mean the sort of marine-style guerrillas. And the guerrilla pass are blue outlines on your map that will take you places that you can evade soldiers and such like, and there's hidden weapons. You get told to recruit Juan, who's a drunk at the bar, and he has to train the rebels. He wants to make, 30 fight like 300 or something like that. I can't remember the whole thing, but he gives you a pet attack crocodile, which is pretty cool. So like in some games you've seen you can send a dog to bite people. This crocodile absolutely mauls people, and you're like, oh my god. And I actually hate it more. I don't know if I sympathise more with crocodiles than dogs. Sometimes in games when your dog goes down, I'm not cruel to dogs. I'm like, okay, I'll get to you. But see, the minute my crocodile goes down this, I'm like, how dare you? Leave my crocodile alone. He's an endangered species. There's plenty of crafting in the game, and it's not crafting that upsets me enough, because I hate crafting in most games. It's pretty simple. Like, do you want this gun? Right, you've got the stuff. It's not like hunt 17 miles to find a berry that you need to grind in one place for. So you do that, you steal the uranium, and that's the set. I've only done 2 missions basically. There's the checkpoints, you know, this typical Ubisoft style tropes of getting
the tower. Yeah.
Well, it's not a tower. It's like you take out like border patrol checkpoints and then set fire to them, and that's it.
Set fire to the tower instead of climb it. Okay, fair enough.
It's not a tower. It's not a tower. It's like a checkpoint. But yes, it's the same idea. So it feels like Far Cry 1 a lot more, because obviously it's jungle based, this game, whereas like the last one was kind of set in Midwest America. I don't know what they call it. 4 was kind of set in Tibet. 3 was an island. 2 was Africa. 1 was the jungle. This one feels more like 1. The craziest thing about this game, Andy, and I hate this. This is instantly taken 20% off my review score of it. What do you think it is? It's not the Ubisoft tropes. It's not the characters. It's not the story. It's not the guns. It's not the weapons. It's not the pet crocodile. What do you think it's took at least 20% off? Like if this game was at 100, it's at 80% just for this. No. 30% off. This is at 70% for this one thing. Straight away.
No fast travel.
Nope, it's got fast travel. Stupider than that. Even stupider to take out.
No cars. No cars.
It's got plenty of cars, plenty of bikes.
No cars. I don't know.
It has no manual save option. No manual save, I'll say that again. So you have to rely on the...
Oh, save. Okay.
So you have to rely on autosave though, Andy, and that doesn't always happen when you want it to, Andy. So sometimes you might find yourself replaying huge sections later. I haven't died yet. That's not what I mean. But I'm just, when I clocked this, I went, okay, that's kind of like putting all your faith in cloud save, backing up your saves all the time, which I did with PS4, and I know how that turned out. So I'm like, so that didn't save until the end of that fight, and it was like a 3-section fight. Whereas normally, if I had to travel another place to get to that fight, I could save halfway, so I didn't have to redo the first part. So it's a bit of a shame, but for me, that's stupid. That's for a huge, big open world game like this. If anything goes wrong with autosave, you could end up reloading your save, and it's that's an hour ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Are you sure there's no manual save? Because I'm sure there was manual saves in the older games.
There is. There was manual saves in Far Cry 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Blood Dragon, but there's no manual saving in Far Cry 6, and I can't fathom what their justifiable reason for this would be. Once you finish Googling.
You are right. Yeah, there's no auto save in the game.
Absolutely insane
Very
decision.
strange.
But apart from that, it's pretty fun. Like I said, I think it's on sale for like £30, £35 to buy off the store, but you can get it cheaper if you go on CD keys. So I don't mind paying that for it. I just wasn't paying 60, 70 day one because I wasn't in the mood for a Far Cry at that point. And Far Cry is the kind of game that sometimes piques my interest for a week and then I leave it for months on end and then go back to it. Far Cry 5, however, was the exception to that rule. It was such a good game. So Far Cry 6 I picked up. I didn't really play too much else. I didn't have a review this week because my code that I got for the Xbox Hub kind of get messed up. It was meant to be a pre-launch code, and the game's out in 3 days, and the game's a pre-order code. So I've got the game, but I have to wait for it to come out before I can cover it. So not much I can do there. So basically apart from that, all I've played is Pokemon Legends Arceus, Arceus, however it's. I don't know how it's said.
Arceus.
I don't know how it's said because like
I think it's Arceus. Maybe it is Arceus.
I don't know. The EU would suggest Arceus, but Arceus sounds ridiculous to me personally. Have you played anything before we get to Pokemons? Have you played anything?
Yes, I played Mass Effect 2, Ali.
Yes, I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favourite game on the Citadel. So
I did this in the game. Yes. I went and spoke to the store, and it's like, oh, do you want to endorse the store? I'm like, yeah, sure. They'll give me better prices. Cool, fine. Don't even know what fucking store it is. It's just like a shop. Yeah. They give me a slightly better price. Well, that's fine. But yeah, every time I walk up to it now, it's like, I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favourite store on the Citadel.
You can sponsor other shops. You understand a decade-old meme, which is good.
Yeah. It's funny, like I really like this game. Actually, it's such a big step up over 1. It's insane.
It was
like, and it keeps getting better as well. Like, I really like the way the kind of mission structures unfold. And like, you tell me like some of the stuff that I'm doing is DLC, but like, it's just
you can't tell.
It doesn't feel like DLC.
Yeah, you can't tell.
It
so
like
it's naturally incorporated, which is why I was saying to you the Shadow Broker DLC that occurs after the main mission. It's not just like after game, like end game stuff. It's just the next mission that you're meant to go on before 3. So I don't like after game stuff. I just don't like right now go and mop up things. I really don't. We'll talk about that in a bit. But like in this game, it's not after game. It's just they've continued the story. They've finished that part of the story. And Shadow Brokers, I would argue it's just as good. Well, for me anyway, I think it was just as good as the main story in 2, which was incredible. But you're right, the DLC was incorporated so well because like the Normandy, the Normandy.
That's right, yeah, the Normandy crash site.
That was
like I wouldn't have known that was DLC at all unless you told me. Like it just seemed like a side mission that you could do. You didn't have to do it, but.
I'll let you talk about him because I need to go and grab some more water. But Zaid, you met Zaid, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, see if you didn't pre-order the game, he wasn't in your game because he was DLC as well.
Oh okay. So, yeah, like I've met a few characters. I think I've got 4 or 5 unlocked now because I met that guy Zaid and I don't not like him. He's a complete prick so far. Based on the one interaction I've had with him, where you go and meet him and he's just beating up some guy for doing something or other. And yeah, he just kind of joins you. He's like a bit of a dick about it as well, and he's a bit kind of vague about things. I also recruited a lady that's I can't remember what species she is, but she's like a thief or something. I had to talk to her through an advertising board. That was fun. Spoke to her, and she's now part of the crew. And I recruited a doctor who's a Solarian. He was kind of cool. I liked him, and I liked his mission. Like he took a wee bit longer to pick up. I liked that though, because it kind of is like, oh, go and recruit these people, and like a couple of them, like the Zaid guy and the thief woman, that was like took less than 5 minutes to recruit them. But the other ones that I've recruited, which was the, what did they call him, Archangel. He took a wee while because I had to go through like a whole section and do a couple of big fights and stuff. And there was a cool reveal at the end of that. Like,
You
I
don't need
like
to be
that.
spoiler free for Mass Effect 2 at this point.
It's that whole game, yeah. Well, I'd never had it spoiled. Like, I didn't know who it was. It's like, go and get Archangel. I'm like, okay. Went to go and get him, and then it turns out it's Garrus from the first game. And I was like, okay.
Who does a lot of calibrations in this game.
He's what, sorry?
So every time you go and speak to him, his like loyalty mission doesn't kick in till later. And normally you finish a mission, you go and speak to your crew and you get some more info or maybe another mission. But every time you speak to Garrus, he's like, Shepard, I'm just doing my calibrations just now. And like every time you speak to him, he's just doing his calibrations.
Calibrating for a long time, good old Garrus.
I like Garrus.
But no, I'm enjoying it so far. The places you're going to seem much more varied than in the last game. It's way more interesting. The graphics are way better. The gameplay is way better. Like the only thing I think I don't like about the game is they've improved the running mechanic, but they've made it the Gears of War running mechanic with a shaky screen. So like every time you run, it's like, oh my god, like it makes you fucking sick. Like I don't like that. Also the map is weird the way they've set the controls to the map. Because if you click either of the sticks, it brings up the map, but then if you click the stick again, the map doesn't go away. Like, it's just like little things like that. They could have just improved a little bit. I could have done without the shaky screen and without and if they added click, turning off the map. Like, or even if they gave you, because they don't give you a mini map in this game.
You get like a pointer to point you in the right direction.
Yeah, a pointer, yeah. Like which is sometimes it comes up like so on the right stick. Sometimes you'll click it and it gives you the objective. Sometimes you'll click it and it gives you the map. I don't know why. Like I think it's when you're in an actual mission, it's like it gives you the objective marker. But then other times it just gives any other time it just gives you the map.
Yeah.
But I'd
So
rather
if you
just
put
have a mini map.
if you put a waypoint down outside of missions, it will give you your.
Yeah. Well, that's fine, but I'd rather just have a mini map because the map's good, and if they just made it small, then that would be fine. Instead of me having to stop and fucking click and then look at the map and then go, okay, I need to go that way, and then click the map and then run around and go, right, no, I've gone the wrong way. Fuck, go back. It was confusing in that place. The what's it called? That first place you go to, the big tower. There's like a nightclub in it.
Afterlife.
The nightclub's called Afterlife, yeah.
No.
It's confusing in there
Yeah.
because like the places in different levels. Was it
What
called
the hell is
Afterlife?
it?
I think
Yeah,
it was.
the club is Afterlife. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a big red sort of tower station place. I forget what it's called, but anyway, I think I'm pretty much done with that place, so I've moved on. I went to the Citadel, went there, went to see the council, got to see Anderson again, good old Anderson, who's my guy on the council,
Shepherd.
my pal. I like him, he's cool. It's good that they got the voice actor back and everything.
Omega Station.
Yeah, and I went and I used the mass relay as well, and I like doing the exploring the galaxy thing,
Yeah.
where you're flying around in a little ship.
Do you like
and then you
firing
go
the
to the
things to the
planet.
planet?
Yes, yeah. But it's annoying not having enough probes. Because
Can you
like,
buy more?
yeah, no, look, but you can only get 30.
No, at the start you can
Like-
only you can upgrade your ship.
Yeah. So like, I would fire easily 30 probes at one fucking planet, like to get all the resources. But then I would have to go all the way back to find somewhere that has a fuel depot, so I can buy more probes, which is just kind of annoying because it uses a lot of fuel when you're going between the systems. Like it's like insane how much fuel it fucking uses. But I mean, think about it, you're covering a hell of a lot of distance, like in real world distance.
It's not a
But
big
I
deal
like the whole
once you-
presentation. I like the whole,
once you-
yeah, once it will upgrade and stuff, it'll be fine. But I like the presentation of that. It's really cool. It gives you like the scope of the game, like how big the galaxy is, and like how you're just like one little tiny person who can make all these changes that affect all this shit that's going on, which is really cool. But yeah, really liking the story. The story's good. I'm not sure of this elusive man yet. I definitely want to betray him and stick with the alliance, even though they seem a bit dodgy as well, because they don't believe me.
You don't?
They don't believe me. I'm like, oh, there's a big robot ship thing. Nah, no, there was no robot ship. Like, fucking saw
Wait,
it.
you seen it? It was there? Nope, we didn't.
The giant ship. Nope. The Geth built this ship. Like, did they? Fuck these like Geth people. There's no way they built this ship.
No,
Yeah, I think they did. Like, all right, okay, fine. There's probably more to that though. They've probably been controlled by somebody or some shit. But this elusive man, I do not trust him at all. But yeah, like I don't know spoilers to this game, so and I'm not looking them up. I'm just playing.
One cool thing about the game you wouldn't have noticed yet is that you've got good bad decisions again.
Yeah.
Did you get anything transferred from the last game, like credits or something?
What do you mean credits? Like money?
So when you loaded up the game, it would have said for playing Mass Effect 1, you get blah blah blah.
Yeah. Like it gave me the option to bring things over, and I brought everything over that I'd done from the first game, which was like things about like what's his name, Rex.
Yeah.
Things about Rex and like a couple of decisions.
Was Rex
I'd made
dead at the end of Mass Effect 1 for you?
No, he was alive.
So have you
And it was
too?
No, not yet.
Okay.
It was the Ashley and what was the guy's name?
Caden.
The guy, Caden. Yeah,
Caden's dead for most people.
Caden survived for me because
That's because you chose, because the decision makes it sound like you're saving her. Yeah, but you're not saving her.
No, she died. And I was like, oh, that was upsetting. But yeah, so I guess he'll be around somewhere.
But that's cool that your choices all came through. But if you make good or bad decisions, see, because your face is healing. If you go bad, your face opens up more.
Yeah, so like I noticed that actually at the beginning of the game because I had a big scar, and I'm like, all right, but now I don't have a scar. Now I'm fine.
The nanobots react to your emotions.
Right. Because I've mostly done Paragon things. In fact, almost all the things I've done in Paragon, unless I've done something by accident that's like Renegade.
Yeah, because sometimes the decisions aren't always blue or red.
Yeah. I like those wee contextual things that pop up, and it's like you can do a Renegade thing right now if you want to, if you press this button right now. Or you can do a Paragon thing if you want to press this button right now. And like the Renegade ones, I don't touch them. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sabotage that thing over there. I'm good. But then if a Paragon thing comes up, I'm like, I'll do that.
See,
there was one.
As John, I'd play pure Paragon. When I play as Jane Shepherd, I'm pure Renegade. She does not give two shits. She will just shoot you in the head if it means hurrying the conversation up.
I suppose that makes sense though, because you've played the game already. Like, because I've never played it before, so like, and there's some of the dialogue is like I'll skip through bits of it, but like most of it, like it's really well done and it's all voice acted, so I don't have to sit and read all this text and get really sleepy while I'm reading boring text about nothing. And all the text is actually interesting for the most part as well. So, but yeah, it's good. So really good so far. There was one Paragon decision that I liked, which was basically cut this guy off. It was the doctor guy because he was talking away, and he'd kind of like he started talking, and then he ended up like he was ranting, and then it came up with like a Paragon action, and I'm like, oh, that's weird that comes up. So I used that, and it's like, let me stop you there before you go too far with this. Here's the situation, and he's like, oh, okay, that's fair enough. So like I liked that. That was cool. So I'll be able to see how that works through the rest of the game, because so far it seems to have happened way more times than it did in Mass Effect 1. Like, I only remember maybe 2, maybe 3 times that happened in Mass Effect 1, and one of them was like, I'm sure it was like you could take a shot at a guy when he was giving a speech, like one of the bad guys. But no, like, that was really cool. I like that. And as I say, I think it's happened 4 or 5 times already, and I'm only 4 or 5 hours on, maybe 6. But yeah, I'm liking it a lot. I'm just basically going around and collecting all the crew members. That's my kind of objective at the moment. It's just to assemble a crew. So I've got, I think, 5 now, 6, including me. Yeah, 6. But it's good game so far. Really enjoying it. I'm playing this is the Legendary Edition that I'm playing on PS4. Oh, well, on It's the PS4 version playing on PS5. It's also on Game Pass though. If you've never played it before, definitely worth giving it a shot. As I say, Mass Effect 1, I was not a particularly big fan of, but Mass Effect 2 is great. Really good so far. It's funny actually that Ali's like been exploring one of my favourite series, and I'm now exploring one of his favourite series.
What do you mean, Uncharted? And no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you though, because obviously I can still hear you, but like Mass Effect 1 hasn't aged well. This updated version's literally the only way to play it. Like doing the updated version, the older version's a lot worse. It's you can play it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Mass Effect 2, however, Mass Effect.
It feels like an old game though. Mass Effect 1, like Mass Effect 2 doesn't. It feels fine.
They've upgraded all the visuals, but they could do more with 2 and 3 than they could do with 1.
Yeah.
So I would say play 1 though to get the complete story, because your decisions move. You might have saved a species or chose to kill a species that might come into play later. You can end up killing crew members like Rex. There's one point where he goes nuts about the genophage and you can choose to shoot him, and then Rex is just dead. Ashley and Caden, you can kill them. There's another guy in the Citadel at the start that wants to be a Marine, and you can put him off for life and he ends up like either killing his wife and his kids, or you can persuade him to be a Marine and he ends up doing well and helping you later on, depending on how you've nurtured your relationship with him. So I mean, for a game back then to do all that stuff, nothing's done that ever since. Nothing has come and done it in depth like this through 3 games. None. No game has. And it's a shame that I doubt that, or I severely doubt Mass Effect 4 will have anything transferred from the older games. Although, because a lot of people didn't like Andromeda, they might because this Legendary edition, but I don't think so. But it's a shame that not enough folk liked Andromeda, because I wasn't one of those people that hated it, that loved the original series. And by loved the original series, I mean got the books, got the complete comic collection, like watched the TV show, bought an iPad just because of this game to get the data pad, which was worth it at the time. They've took that out of the new one, so you don't need to worry about online stuff, which is probably going to be a better time playing Mass Effect 3, because a lot of that there's a war going on and you have to concentrate your war effort by playing multiplayer. And the multiplayer is basically like PvE, like almost like a horde mode Mass Effect. And it kind of works, because by the time Mass Effect 3 comes, it's kind of moved even further away from the RPG elements of 1. And the easier way of playing it was your data pad on your iPad. Instead of having to log in and play the multiplayer, you could just be assign resources, send guys out. You know, kind of like the Black Flag app, which was one of the handiest apps ever to manage your fleet in that game. So yeah, it's a shame, because Andromeda was fine. I don't know why they can't pull them both together. I didn't see a big issue with it. You loved Andromeda, that was your first.
Yeah, I thought it was great, yeah. This one's probably better, to be fair.
Mass Effect 2 is better. 100% better. But, I mean, it's not very fair, because that's a bit like comparing the original Star Wars trilogy to Solo by itself. It's like, it's not a fair comparison. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm glad you're liking it. I'm really glad because Mass Effect 2, I've always said, is my favourite out of them all. 3 was good. And then, that was one of the games, though, I hated that. Finished it, and then people moaned about the ending. People complained, and they went back and retroactively changed the ending, which I've never experienced, but now apparently this new ending's the canon ending, so I'm interested to see when I get to Mass Effect 3 what I think about that.
In the new Mass Effect game that they've kind of showed off so far,
4.
Yeah, well, they didn't call it 4, but like
it will be
whatever it's going to be. We don't know yet.
Do you know why they'll do it?
They did show.
To make it look like Andromeda doesn't count.
Yeah, they did show an N7 thing.
Yeah, but N7 isn't just Shepard. That's the Spectre's uniform.
Oh yeah, but it's pretty much Shepard's. Like it's the iconic thing for Shepard.
Might be his uniform, but might not be. But it's also going to be interesting what they choose as the canon endings of the games. Who's alive, who's not alive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could carry it over, like you say, if they bring it from Legendary.
Yeah.
They could definitely do that. Yeah.
And
or let you pick or whatever.
What they should do is make the side characters that could die not as important. So if they're still alive, you maybe get a cutscene or 2 with them that other folk don't, and that's it. Because then that will save.
Yeah. Just programming them in as like a playable character or like a crew member or whatever. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what they do with that. I think that's still a wee while away yet, though.
At least 3 years. I think it's going to be another year or two before we see anything about it. But we do have some exciting things to see.
I'll definitely be interested in it.
We do have some exciting things to see tomorrow, Andy. Nintendo Direct, Darren. 2 p.m. Pacific time. I think that's 5 or 6 o'clock here.
No.
What time is it?
I think it's 10 o'clock.
In the morning?
10 o'clock at night.
Oh, 10 o'clock at night. Okay.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just touch on quickly, because we're not going to do too much news.
It's 10 o'clock.
What do you expect to see from it? Like, for me, I think this is going to be Splatoon 3's dated. They're going to talk about, obviously, the rest of the games coming up. Kirby's going to get highlighted because it's just around the corner. Might even see some more about Bayonetta 3, some of the games that we haven't heard too much about. But I think the majority of this is going to be Kirby and Splatoon 3 because they're the ones that I assume are going to be before the summer, the big two ones. What about you? What do you think we'll see?
Yeah, they said it's first half of the year game, so I think we'll see Kirby, we'll see Splatoon. They'll have a couple indie games thrown in there that are coming out within the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Yeah, they might show Bayonetta. That's slated for this year. So
latter half of the year, though, probably.
Probably, but I do think they'll show either Zelda or they'll show Mario Kart 9. Like at the end.
Zelda. It'll be Zelda.
I don't know if they will show Zelda because the last time they showed it, they were like, "Oh, we're not ready to talk about it yet." So I think if I had to bet on it, I'd be betting for Mario Kart 9 over Zelda.
Nah, definitely not. No way.
But they're not putting out like a normal Mario game this year. Definitely not because they're bringing out that Rabbids game. But they could do Mario Kart, no issue. Doesn't compete with a normal with a normal Mario game. I know the Rabbids one isn't really a normal Mario game, but they won't want to put out a 3D Mario game.
I disagree. I disagree with that being the reason. I think the reason that we won't see anything about Odyssey 2, we'll call it, this year is because of Zelda. It's nothing to do with other Mario titles. I think once Zelda's out and cleared, then we'll hear about Odyssey 2. Because I still think Zelda could slip into 2023 easily.
Maybe. I think we'll definitely see a Mario game next year. Probably something along the lines of like Bowser's Fury, but on a bigger scale.
Yeah. Whether it's Odyssey 2 or something else, because they don't often do it. I'm just saying Odyssey 2 because obviously Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2, they might call it something else, like Mario Universe or whatever. But I definitely agree with you that Bowser's Fury was a testing ground for the new Mario game. But I also believe after seeing Kirby trailers, they used the sort of engine for that in the new Kirby game because a lot of that feels like Bowser's Fury from watching it.
Hey, okay.
Are
you going to get that Kirby game?
I think I might. I think after watching the trailers,
Kirby Last of Us.
It looks like Kirby Last of Us. Last of Us 1, the good one as well. So I've never played Kirby really before, but this looks like it could be good. And Elden Ring's I have to have something to put on when I've thrown my controller at the screen because of Elden Ring. Because I hate all these people now coming out and say. Because we'll talk about some news just now. There was the creator of Elden Ring came out and said that basically he thinks a lot more people will finish this one, and everyone's saying, "Oh, that's because this is going to be an easier one. You can play it co-op. You can do this." So me and you are probably going to finish this, and everyone's going to be like, "Yeah, you finished the easiest one," and that's really annoyed me now because Dark Souls games are hard. But anyway, I'm still looking forward to it.
I think more people will finish it because more people will buy it. I think this is going to sell more.
It's more in the public eye, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because the Dark Souls games over the last the Soulsborne games over the last 5 years have picked up quite a lot of following. Like
the general public know about them more, whereas when I worked at Game Centre, it was only like your Davis that would come in and specifically ask for a Dark Souls. Yeah. Whereas Mandy and our wee son Brian or Teenage Bob that come in with his pals, they'd want FIFA and Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto. They don't know about Dark Souls. Whereas this one, and it's coming out in a good year where you've got a lot of fantasy stuff going on. Brand new season of Vikings coming end of this month, and that's not really fantasy. But then you've got Lord of the Rings as well this year. George R.R. Martin wrote the story for this, or wrote the world, for it. Yeah, I think it's going to go well for them. Let's check, see if there's anything else in the news. Oh, Resident Evil 3 remake. This is, people are saying, that's nothing. These are still big numbers to overtake, like, Resident Evil 2, the original Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 3's shipped 5 million, which has surpassed Resident Evil 2. So it's now the 6th best-selling RE SKU of all time, which is a PLU, is it? Is an SKU a PLU code? I don't know. Sure. Take-Two Interactive also, Andy, right? Bear in mind this game came out 9 years ago, which I bought one drunken night, folding bed sheets, and we ended up playing it. And I bet you're glad I did, because the story was phenomenal.
Great game. Yeah, absolutely great game.
So Grand Theft Auto 5 is now sold, and this isn't shipped, this is sold. 160 million units. 160 million copies of this game, Andy. Last quarter finished in December. They sold 5 million copies last quarter. 5 million, and there's a new version of it out next month, and people are still buying this one.
People will buy that version when it comes out as well. Again, you probably sell another 5 million next quarter. I'm
not going to lie, I'm going to get it. I want to see what they've done to it, and because the PS4 upgrade, they just kind of now with added cats.
It's a free upgrade, so.
Well, there you go. So it has reached $1 billion in retail sales faster than any other entertainment release in history. That's not just video games. The series overall has now sold 370 million units lifetime. So when people are saying, why are they not doing GTA 6? Because you won't stop buying 5. Why would they?
Yep.
The good thing is we're probably going to get a fantastic 6 because they've had 9 years. This
taking their time with it, yeah.
This game's 10-year-old next year. So if we don't hear about it, like they've confirmed it this year, so I would imagine next year we've got to see a trailer for GTA 6 once it's been a year after, because the GTA 5 Definitive Edition for PS5 or whatever it's called, the new version, they'd want a clear year so that they don't hamper. Not that they're going to hamper sales of GTA 5, but like they want a clear year. So I reckon next year in the 10th anniversary, we're probably going to see a trailer, and I don't think Rockstar are going to pussyfoot about. I think they're going to go trailer, and here's when it's out. I think that's what we're going to get from them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be out next year? No, I think you're looking at 2024. I think that's reasonable. But I think next year, absolutely, we get a Rockstar. At the start of the year, we're probably going to see a 6 logo, which will be a V and an I. And then you'll see some sort of background like we've got here, and people start guessing where it is. Then after the summer, you'll get a trailer, and at the end of the trailer, it'll be like, here's when it's out. I don't think Rockstar are going to like pussyfoot and drizzle. They've had 10 years. It's going to be ready. See how they said work's underway? There's no way they've not. Like, Red Dead Redemption 2 is
working on this for years.
Yes, they have.
Definitely.
There's no way that they've just started it. That's not what this announcement meant. What this announcement meant was, guys, get ready. That's what that meant. To me, it doesn't mean we've just started work on it. It's not like Metroid Prime 4 that's like, should we have hired one of these guys before we start work? Yep, let's just stop everything again. We don't want to annoy Reggie. And someone's like, do we tell him Reggie doesn't work here anymore? No, just leave him to it. And then they put out another advert for hiring someone like they did this week again. That game's never coming out. They probably breathed a sigh of relief. It was probably, we'll talk roughly about the Nintendo investor call just now, Andy, that they announced that the Switch is only midway through its life cycle, obviously, which means at least another 4 years of Switch support, which is great because I've just got the OLED last year. Whereas my biggest worry was it was going to get superseded for Switch 2. I think they've breathed a sigh of relief that they've extended the lifespan of the Switch, because there's no way this would have made it out within a year or two. And I think what we're going to get is a Breath of the Wild situation with this game, where it's the launch title for the Switch 2. And I don't just mean like a 4K upgrade or an OLED, I mean the actual successor to the Switch. It'll be a launch game on that, and it'll be a final game for the Switch. Like Last of Us, like Breath of the Wild.
Don't think they might just go the Microsoft model now and just iterate?
They should, whether they will.
Like, the problem with doing that is the cartridge-based system. The cartridges that they're using can only go up to like a certain size at this
64
point.
64 gig, I think it was, before having 2 cartridges. Yeah.
So that's the kind of stumbling block. But they've had 4 years of it, right, 5 years of it. So the technology, they can surely have developed the technology to like make it work better, so that like, because you can buy a M2 hard drive that's like about that size. Yeah. About the size of like a Switch card, so like about that size, that fits in roughly about the same sort of space, that has super fast load times, and you can get hundreds of gigabytes on it. So maybe they'll just move to something like that. Every Switch two games just an M2 card.
The only problem
stashed inside a Switch.
The only problem they'll do down the line is third-party devs, what they're able to do with the Switch for it to run, like if you're saying iterations, like if an actual jump does come, because obviously we've had 3 iterations of the Switch if you don't count the Lite. Like you've had the original, you've had the updated battery, and now you've had the OLED. Technically they're the same system, but if they do an actual update, we might have a situation like the new 3DS where some games just can't run in the old system because it's already out of date. I mean, the Switch was in line with the PS3 and PS4, but we're now in PS5. If you're talking 4 or 5 years down the line, we're going to be starting to talk about PS6. That's just the way it is. And if you're saying the Switch is still going to be alive at that point, like what sort of games is it going to be producing? You ain't getting like high quality console games on that.
Remasters of PS3 and Xbox 360 games.
Forever. But no, like Nintendo games are fine.
Welcome to the Switch.
Nintendo games are fine because they don't need graphics to be fun. We'll talk about that later. But like Nintendo games are timeless looking, and if you could like Odyssey, Mario Odyssey, if it came out just now, the graphics are comparable with PlayStation and Xbox because it's so well done. Like if you put that on your screen, Mario Odyssey stands up, and it was like what launch game, well near enough launch game first year for the Switch. Breath of the Wild, yeah, okay, it's a wee bit because of the art style doesn't look as good, but like there are games on the Switch that stand up. But
I mean, Breath of the Wild was only held back just because it was held back a little bit by the Wii U.
So Breath of the Wild 2, I think it's going to be phenomenal, really phenomenal. Yeah. But this is what I mean. Like, if you add a new processor, that's like cool. You've now upgraded your system, like a bit like the Series X. Somebody's going to have to suffer, and there's going to be some game developers going, look, we can't make this work in the old system. You know, there's going to come a point with that. That's your only issue. Like, yeah, we can make it work in one card, but that old launch model Switch, it is not handling it.
I think that what they will do, whatever they end up doing next, I think it will still be a hybrid model. Definitely, like they see that works, and I think that they will make it backwards compatible with the Switch cartridges, regardless. Even if it requires a separate slot.
Well, they did it. They've done this already with the DS. The DS worked with the Game Boy Advance. You had a whole Game Boy Advance slot on your DS.
Yeah.
So like they've done it before, several times before. Anyway, moving on from that, Warcraft. Activision Blizzard have said that they're planning in 2020 an all-new mobile Warcraft.
This is not World of Warcraft.
No,
but
all series.
Strategy game, yeah.
So I think this is going to be like the Command and Conquer game that I hope it's not going to be like. I think this is going to be a hurry up and give us cash. Look, tap here to build your tower. Right, okay, look, they're attacking. You want to build 3 of these guys. Use your diamond up to build the troops quicker, and then it's like, right, I want to build more troops now. I finished the tutorial. That's a £5, mate. No, I want to build more troops. £5. £5 or wait. I hope they don't. I would love them to do a full-fledged... If this is Warcraft 4... I don't want them to do Warcraft 4 like that. If they can do a full price, like say even £20, and they say that's coming to my tablet, Warcraft 4, I'll play Warcraft on my tablet.
Yeah, do you know what? There has been games like things like this have happened before, like Civilization. Sure they have a mobile version of that's the full game, and it's not like a watered down bullshit mobile game like Command and Conquer is. It's Civ. So they could do something like that for sure.
Yeah, but that's their only 2 options. And this is Activision Blizzard before Phil Spencer's got them. What do you think's more likely to happen? I'm swaying towards the Call of Duty piece of shit model.
Yeah, but see, I don't think the Microsoft would allow that to happen.
Do you think they'll have a say just now? Right, you can't ruin your franchises on the way out the door. Like when you hand your notice into work, you can't exactly mess stuff up.
Go and shit on your boss's desk sort of thing. Yeah. Or like tell customers to fuck off and whatnot. Like you can't do that.
But then again, Phil Spencer might not just care because these games are proven to make money. You know, mobile market's the biggest gaming market out there. No matter if me and you like it or not, it is. But I would like this to be a full-fledged Warcraft, like literally Warcraft 1, 2, or 3, obviously, just on tablet because that would work fine. I wouldn't play it on my phone maybe because it's maybe not big enough, but on a tablet, yeah, absolutely. RTS works on a tablet. Tap here, move, build. Fine. I'm excited because I like Warcraft. I'm excited because I've wanted Warcraft 4 for years. And it's weird though that the World of Warcraft I've just no interest in. Just so strange to me. But anyway.
It's so boring and it looks crap. Like the graphics are bad. Like boring and bad graphics. Like no story. Like I know there is a story there, but like Oh man, you have to go and find the
You
story.
have to go and find it.
No,
But in Warcraft, you get a story. It tells you what your mission is. You're this guy. You have to beat that guy.
yeah,
Go and rescue your pal.
totally different for a strategy game,
Yeah.
like as opposed to like an RPG. RPG needs to like give you
A
either
gripping
like
story.
a gripping story, like great
Great
gameplay off the bat, or
gameplay.
like really interesting missions and good graphics. And like World of Warcraft doesn't have any of that for me, so like I'm out all the way out with that one.
So,
Warcraft normal is fine though.
yeah,
StarCraft I prefer StarCraft,
you prefer
but like
StarCraft, yeah.
Warcraft's cool.
Which is funny because, like, I'm normally more sci-fi than fantasy, and you like. I know you like both, but you go heavier into fantasy than I do. But I prefer the fantasy RTS here. I think it's just because it was one of the only games when I had a Mac years ago that was actually playable and nostalgia.
Yeah.
But I still play Warcraft 1 and 2. I prefer Warcraft 1 and 2 to 3. I'll tell you that now. Anyway, Nintendo has reported during their investor call as well 98 million active users, Andy. That means actively playing their Switch on a daily basis. They've actually sold, this isn't shipped, they've sold 103.5 million units, which means it's moved above the Wii, which is a crazy milestone. Crazy milestone.
Considering how many the Wii sold, like the Wii was a phenomenon.
The Wii was in
back in
nursing
the
homes. The Wii was
Insane.
everywhere. Your granny had one. The thing is with the Switch, do people's grands have Switch now? I don't think so. I think the smartest move for this whole thing was the Switch Lite.
Yep, kids.
That still counts as a Switch ecosystem.
100%, yeah.
So that's what they've done. They dropped, what, about £150 off the price? Buy it for your kid. Everyone that I've worked with or everyone I speak to, they're always buying their kids Switch Lites. Constantly. I need to get my new Switch Lite. He's broke that one. Or I need to get my Switch Lite because his wee pal's got one.
Yeah. And like, I think a lot of people like us bought the Switch like day one.
Yep.
Out of interest for what it was and for what it could potentially be. And obviously there wasn't a whole lot of games out at the beginning. Zelda and like that was it really.
1-2 Switch.
But we saw the potential of the machine, and like they steadily brought out the good games for it, and all the good games are out now for it. There's hundreds and hundreds of good games, and it's now 5 years later, and things have moved on for a lot of people that have bought those. So like people now have kids that they didn't have back 5 years ago, like Ali, kids that are now old enough to play the Switch. So they're like,
two kids since the Switch came out.
Exactly, yeah, 2 kids.
And the funny thing is, I always thought like Lexi's first console would be the Switch 2, just going by standard lifetimes. She's now 4, coming 5, which is about the time that in our generation we got consoles. I know kids sometimes get them younger, but like I was waiting until Lexi was asking me. I was never wanting to tell her she was to play stuff. I've always played stuff. Like I've never not played things, obviously, since I was like 6, 5. So like Lexi's showed an interest recently and she loves the Switch. She absolutely loves it. See the Pokeball for Let's Go Pikachu? I still had that in my drawer. I went, because she was playing Pokemon Go on my phone, she sometimes likes just playing about with that. I'm like, do you want to play this on the telly? And she's like, yeah. But see, when I brought out that Pokeball, Andy, her wee eyes lit up. And when I seen it, I was this is quite cool. But obviously when I bought this, I was like 33, 32, whatever age I was. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Lexi's eyes lit up like it was magic, and the fact that she could throw it and then she was like, but it's going into the TV and it's catching, and then it makes the wee noise. It was just so nice to see, because she was running over to me going, look, it's inside here, and she was looking at it going, how's he in here now? And like, it's just nice to see that innocence like of the world. Like she's thinking she's catching these creatures and putting them in a poke. She's not a stupid child. Like if I explained it to her, she'd understand. But it's just her wonder in her eyes is just really cool to see, man. And like the fact that it's the Switch that we're sitting playing together, it's like I've already seen my Permadoc Switch. I've just cleared all Resident Evils and things like that off it in case she ever goes, can I play that, Dad? And I caught her the other day. She just naturally, without even asking me for it, reached for the Splatoon Pro controller and sat down. I went, what are you doing? And she went, oh sorry Daddy, can I play it? I goes, it's yours, just play it. She was loving it. It was brilliant. It's just a nice wee moment to have. Once she realises that can come off though, like I think she'll be stuck to it in her room, glued to that screen. She would probably get on a lot better with the Switch Lite for the size of it, but at the moment she's not like requesting it every night. Like my days off at the weekends all the time when Natasha's at work. She sometimes asks when Leo goes for a nap, can I play my Purple Dragon game, which is Spyro, or can I catch Pikachu's now? That's what she asked for. And even though I tell her, look, it's called Pokemon, she doesn't want to call it that, so I'm like, whatever. So she'll play it and she enjoys it, and it's just nice to see. But I'm like, do you know what? The Wii had more stuff like this. The Wii had like more like motion things and things for kids like this. The Switch kind of tried to play it safe by appealing to adults as well, which was great because it kept all of us on board. 5 years down the line, most people, like, even though they'll admit not playing the Switch as much, they're like, I don't want to trade it. And now that they've just announced 5 more years, like, even Fraser was messaging me and just saying I might end up getting an OLED because obviously they've just announced that you've got 4 or 5 years. They said midlife cycle and it's 5 years old. So if this is the midlife, you'd assume 4 more years. So apart from that, in the news,
and seeing that Nintendo earnings call, right? Did they say how many games they sold on the Switch yet?
Oh, they did, but I don't think
I'm interested to know if they've overtaken the Wii.
They did. I don't know if it's in here.
It was the Wii. The Wii was 921 million total copies of games sold on the Wii.
They had that announcement because remember they were talking about Mario Kart 8 selling like Tetris and Pokemon Red and Blue now. Mario Kart 8.
I wonder.
See if you can find it. While you're finding it, so Andy, here's another news story talking about acquisition. Nintendo said they're not interested. They said, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, if one of their partners, third-party partners, which I would suggest is Platinum Games, such like that, are open to it, they would then acquire them. And but they said they wouldn't just go out and buy people because they need to be with the Nintendo feel. Here's the craziest one for you, Andy. Here's one that will kind of lead into like our discussion. So I was talking to my friend and he said, oh, they should totally buy Retro Studios, you know, the guys making Metroid. Yeah? No?
Yeah.
Right. So I said, yeah, they totally should buy them, just assuming Nintendo didn't own them. They bought them 20 years ago for $1 million. They own them. They like put £1 million in their shares. Do you know who they don't own?
Pokemon Company?
They don't own Game Freak.
Yeah.
Now, it probably won't happen because they share a headquarters. Like 2 years ago, they moved into the same office building. But see if Game Freak decide to, they could. I think Nintendo would buy them before it happened, but they could go, do you know what? We're taking Pokemon to PlayStation. But at that point, Nintendo would go, how much are you? We're just going to buy you. At that point, they would buy them. Nintendo don't own Pokemon. Nintendo own a 33% share of Pokemon, but they don't own Game Freak. What they should do is acquire Game Freak. 100%, lock them down. Phil Spencer chaps their door with enough Xena. Like, come on. I know he has to walk through your office to get to theirs, but he's in a rampage just now. And do you know what? It never clicked because obviously that Little Town Hero that was on PlayStation and Xbox, which was kind of like a wee RPG. Yeah. But imagine they just went, nah, we're good to PlayStation now. Nah. Nintendo should buy Game Freak, get them locked down. I know it's very unlikely, and if Game Freak ever did say something like that, Nintendo, I'm pretty sure, would either make a buyout offer. It's the fact they share an office, but Nintendo doesn't own them. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. I knew they didn't own them, but I didn't realise they actually owned such a big chunk of the company.
They don't own the company, sorry, right? So Game Freak are the developers, Pokemon's the brand. Nintendo own 33% of the brand, and it's shared between Game Freak and a company called Creatures, I'm sure it is. Creatures.
Right, okay.
So they all own basically a third of it, sort of thing.
It's probably like the Nintendo people, the devs, company that came up with the idea of Pokemon, and the devs, Yeah, it makes sense.
Because the funny thing is, Game Freak, actually, they're the ones that created it, but I don't know if they still work there. But the guy that came up with the idea, he used to write a magazine called Game Freak in Japan. That's where Game Freak Studios came from.
Right.
And this was, another YouTube documentary that told me this, but basically... he was there making them. I don't know if he's still around now. He might well be, because you know what these Nintendo companies are like. They've got like great grandfathers still working there that had worked there since the 80s. Those guys drink so much green tea that they're going to live forever. But yeah, it's really strange. But it is
Mr. Miyagi's.
Yeah, it's basically 3. Do you know the weird thing about Mr. Miyagi? This is a fun fact as well, branching off. Mr. Miyagi in the Karate Kid movie was younger than Ralph Macchio Danielson is now in Cobra Kai.
Oh, fucking way. True. Oh my god.
True story.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
He does not, like, Danielson has aged better
really well. Yeah,
than
Mr. Miyagi did.
Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, he looked like a stereotypical grandfather back then, but like he played Mr. Miyagi. What's his name? Pat. I can't remember his name. It's
Pat
Pat.
Morita.
He was younger in the Karate Kid one than Daniel-san is in Cobra Kai, than Ralph Macchio is in Cobra Kai. Nuts.
That's
I know.
mental. Yeah, that's crazy.
But that was a good wee fact. But anyway, yes, since we're talking about Pokemon, Andy, we're talking about Pokemon Legions. Legions, Arceus or Arceus, and this is our discussion, as Colonel Borisovich Volgin commented. So this is our discussion on Pokemon. I'll stop now. So yeah, obviously if I spelled it wrong in the title, my mistake. So I said I finished 2 games this week, Andy, and you didn't click. So I finished Pokemon Legends before the show.
Oh, cool.
23 hours. 23 hours took me. Quicker than Fraser. If you're watching, quicker than you. It's because you didn't do X-Fine. Quicker than you. And I'll let you talk more about it because I know I touched on it last week. I'll jump in and forward. But see how I was talking about endgame stuff. Now, I finished 3 Pokemon games total. You know this, Andy. I finished Pokemon Yellow, I think it was. What was the one last? Sword. Pokemon Sword. And the 20 odd years between those games, nothing had changed. Like, it was the same game. It was the same shit. Like, get 8 gym badges, beat 4 elite guys, mess about with a mythical creature, and then if you want to keep playing, fill up your Pokédex. Yeah, that's all it was. So in Pokemon Yellow, you beat the Elite Four, and it's like, great, you're the champion, so you've completed the game. But then it gives you the option of, going back, fighting these creatures that have suddenly appeared in, like, Mewtwo, and that's your endgame stuff. So I finished this one. I'm not going to spoil it, because obviously there's much more story in this than Pokemon previously. So at the end, once you've got the credits rolled, it actually gives you reason to keep playing. It's not, and Fraser was saying this to me, and I'm like, you're just defending it. This is just go and catch Mewtwo now, and don't worry, I will keep playing it, but don't hit me. Credits have rolled and it counts. Our argument of, you roll the credits, your game's
absolutely.
Game's finished. So I said I've rolled the credits, finished the main story. He's absolutely right though. It's almost like instead of just going, right, now go and fill your Pokédex, which obviously you are told to do, it's like, but wait, we're not done with what we were doing, because remember how we were talking about this MacGuffin? Well, obviously you haven't seen these MacGuffins, and it's like, well, that makes sense, and I don't know why I didn't look into that. Like, I didn't think about that. And it's like, so now you need to go and do this, and then you get like 3 more main quests in this, and it's not just, doesn't feel like padding to the story. I was always going to go back to this game, Andy. I said it from the start. I was always going to back, because the minute they said you can finish all the Pokédex without trading, I was like, I am fucking sold. Because see this messing about with trades and Pokemon that only transform or evolve, when they trade. I'm not one for the Poke terminology, as you probably know. You can catch them all with one game. You can trade, but you don't need to. I'm like, this is sold. But the fact that they've now, and it's not just a case of, okay, so the professor does say, let's finish the Pokédex, but you get other quests to do things that happen during the finale, and it makes sense that that's what would happen next. Like, basically, you get the credits, it's like, well, the work's not done because we've got this and this, and sure, boil it down, and it's like, now that you've beat them, you can go and catch Mewtwo. Yes, technically. But it's not like the old Pokemon game, so it's not just like go over into his cave and catch him with a Master Ball. This is a case of, well, you have to go and collect these things and bring them together and beat this and do this. And to me, that's better than old endgame stuff in Pokemon, which used to just, because I expected me to finish this and just go, I'll come back to it in a week, because I like doing that. If I was like, okay, I'm going to polish off some stuff, and this isn't for trophies obviously or achievements, it's just literally I want to finish the Pokédex because I quite like the gameplay. But the fact that they've given me story, I'm like, I'm not putting this down. Like, I feel like I've rolled credits, I've finished the main story. I could happily just go, I've completed that game, and you might do. I don't know. It depends how far into it you get. But like for me, I'm like, nah, I need to do this part now. I don't have to because I've got the credits rolled. But yeah, I absolutely loved it, Andy. This is the best Pokemon game I've ever played. I know there's not many games out yet, but this is number 1 game of the year for me already. Like, is it because it's the best looking game I've played? No. Is it fun? Absolutely, I believe it's fun. Are the areas as big as Breath of the Wild as a whole? No. Are they later on in the game massive? Absolutely. But can you spend hours in even the first area just wandering, going, oh cool, look, there's another Pokemon hiding in grass, throwing your Pokeball? Yeah, you can absolutely do that. And the more quests you pick up, the more things you can do in that area, and like the filling your Pokédex doesn't mean that you've completed the entry for that Pokemon. Like you can get like once you've completed 10 objectives, it marks it off with the Pokeball. You've completed the entry right after you've caught them. You have to get it to level 10.
Yeah.
But then you can go in and go, oh, there's extra things here if I get to like level 25 for this guy. If I fight him 25 times, and it might happen naturally. Like I don't think I'm going to go in and go, okay, I have to fight.
What does that do though if you like
So
level them more than 10?
and the Pokédex, so I believe it enhances the chances of you seeing shiny versions, as far as I'm aware. Like if you fill it, and it could give you more.
I
know
don't-
you said
I don't care
You
about
don't care,
I
but
don't.
some people do. But I think that's what it is. I've no idea, but I'm probably not going to do that. Is what I was saying. But the option's there if you're a completionist and wants to do all that. For me, I would be happy enough getting all of them to 10. Like I'd be happy enough getting my Pokédex level to 10. For I've caught. Well, in comparison to Pokemon Sword, Andy, right? What was it, 35 for the entire playthrough, and that was including the evolutions and ones gifted to me. So, in this game, Fraser talking about massive plot twists. It is still Pokemon. In this game, I don't know. I had a photo.
You did tell me like how many it was at one point. It was more than that already.
So
that was before you beat it,
sorry, just now I have seen 151 Pokemon, right, which is the same amount as the first game. I've caught 111 of them. So
okay.
I've actually caught 111, but that's not to say that all 111 of them Pokédex entries are ticked off. You know what I mean? I finished the game rank 5 because you get 10 ranks for the foundation, and I'm now rank 6 from doing some things after basically catching Pokemon. You know, that rank shop or doing side quests.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've already caught 111. Pokemon Sword, the last big Pokemon game, I caught 35 for my entire playthrough. Because it was because the difference was, Andy, this wasn't just a paint by numbers. Like, okay, see in this area, this is the leaf area, right? So what does that mean? It means your gym leader is going to use leaf Pokemon. So you end up training your fire Pokemon and you burn that gym to the ground. Then you go to the next one, it's like, oh, this is a rock Pokemon area. Okay, what happens here? And now that I've come out this rock Pokemon cave, well, you have to fight the rock gym leader and he uses rock Pokemon. Okay, I better use water to beat him. Okay, what's next? Okay, it's the leaf village. And like, I know I just said leaf at the start, but you know, it was always that. It was always just, there was never really much story apart from Team Rocket chased you and you were to become the Pokemon champion, and you had to fight 8 gyms, get your 8 badges, explore maybe a ghost tower and an abandoned mansion, and then once you've won the league, you've won. And people might say, no, but there was so much more. There wasn't. There fucking wasn't. There wasn't. There really wasn't. There wasn't. And you don't need to catch them. I finished Pokemon Sword with 35 Pokemon. That's including evolutions and getting my Let's Go Pikachu transferred over and stuff. This game, however, it's a completely different game. Like, yes, there's Pokemon. Yes, you still catch them. Yes, there's annoyances. Like, I wish there was voice acting in the game. I don't think that they can do. I think they could maybe get away with doing one more without voice acting, but after that, people are going to start kicking up fuss because it's not like you don't have the money. I'm sorry, but it's not like Pokemon isn't like the most popular franchise of all time. Because it is. It fucking is. I know that's subjective, but in money terms, it fucking is. Like, between the cards and everything, the sales. And I'm pretty sure in a survey, kids were recognising Pikachu over Mickey Mouse now these days, which is crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, Mickey Mouse doesn't really do that much.
No, he doesn't. He really doesn't. So yeah, like Pokemon, this game's the first time they've actually done what I wanted them to do, and I said this last week. When the 64 came out, I went, oh my god, they can do a 3D Pokemon game, finally. They didn't. They done Stadium where you could transfer your Pokemon into it, and it was just Pokemon battles. There was nothing else to it. It was just battles. And then they kind of done a half-arsed RPG on the GameCube that was utter bollocks and wasn't a free-roam RPG, or it wasn't really anything. It was just more missions. You didn't really go out and catch Pokemon the way you do in this. And then the thing is that it's disappointing as well, because there's certain things that annoy me. Like, see when you catch a Pokemon in the open field, brilliant feeling. I love throwing the Pokeballs. I love the wee dun. See when you go into a battle and you throw a Pokeball and it's just like it used to be in the old way. It's like, well, I'm moving about. Why can't I just throw my Pokeball the way that I was, like whenever I want? And also, sometimes when I fought guys, right, they would throw out 2 or 3 Pokemon, but I still had to use one at a time. It's like,
Oh, okay. I
But
haven't come across that yet.
so I've got 6 here, and like seeing the other Pokemon games in the DS, if somebody throws out 2, you automatically Ash or whoever you're playing as, you throw out 2.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So like I'm like, well, this guy's got fucking 3 on the field here. Why am I only allowed to use 1?
Mm.
Like, so it was really annoying. In some battles, one of my Pokemon fainted. It doesn't matter if they faint because I've never fainted. I didn't die in the whole game. Didn't lose a satchel once. So like, why is he throwing 3 Pokemon when I've got 6? Why can't I use all 3? These guys, like, instead of me getting hit once, I'm getting hit 3 times with 3 different types of Pokemon. So come on. But none of it was really difficult. It's still Pokemon at its heart. I know Andy's going to talk about the tutorial in a bit. The tutorial for me and most people did take an hour, which even at an hour is a bit long. I would prefer a "Are you new to Pokemon" option, and if you say no, I'm not new, you can skip the tutorial. You just get given your starter. Are you new to video games? You know, one of those sort of things. Unfortunately, this just kind of puts you in this whole, here's how to move about in a 3D action space. Here's what a Pokemon is. Here's what button to press. And here's how you aim a Pokemon. It's like, if you tell me what button to press, I can kind of figure out how to throw a Pokeball because it's got 2 sticks in the console, 1 moves, 1 aims. Like, I wish there was kind of that towards it. And a lot of the story at the start, I will say, is fluff. It's crap. It's like, it did take a full hour. I know it took you longer, you talk about it in a minute, but see, for the full hour, I was like you, just let me start, just let me start. And then when it did, this is much better. This is fine. I can just do this. And there are moments.
It feels
at the
beginning.
You'll get a chance. I'm just going to let you talk. I'm not going to interrupt you. For a change. See, in Obsidian Fields at the start, when you get like let loose, like it's so freeing, and it almost feels like your first few steps in Breath of the Wild. Don't get me wrong, it's empty compared to Breath of the Wild because the main focus is on the Pokemon as animals and your crafting items that are in the field. But for me, now that I've finished the whole game, I don't think that it needed much more because that's what this game is. Like, it's not a game where I need dungeons every 2 steps of the way. I don't need like Ubisoft towers to I don't need that. Like, what I needed was Pokemon to catch and Pokemon to fight, and a 3D open space to explore that had water, caves, and this has got everything I wanted. So this is the perfect Pokemon game. I don't care. I've got no nostalgia for the old series, so there's probably people, if they're listening to this, going, he's wrong, he's an idiot. Fraser even kind of disagreed with me, but for me, a non-Pokemon fan, this is the best one. This is what they should have done, like, instead of years of the same game on the DS. Like, and again, don't get me wrong, this is not the perfect game. This is a good start. This is the Assassin's Creed 1, and if this is the Assassin's Creed 1 of the franchise going forwards, then wow, I'm excited for the next Pokemon game, which I haven't said since they announced Pokemon Yellow, which was, 25 years ago. I've never been excited. Yes, I've bought the games. Yes, I've bought them. I've put them on. I've chosen my starter, and I've went, this is the same shit. You've been tricked yet again, Ali, and then I end up trading it. I do. And the only reason that I went back to Sword was because I bought it digitally for some reason. And I'm like, even going back and playing it last year, and that was recently. I went back to Sword at the end of last year.
They tricked you because they said there was open world in it.
They said it was like this. And the open world was just, it was a small ass open world bit, even smaller than Uncharted 4's open world bit, and it was literally just a linking area to the other parts. And it's like, so there's nowhere to really explore. You've got like a half-assed lake, and you've got some Pokemon walking about here. And then the rest of the game is just... So basically, this is what you made to make it a Switch game, and the rest, you just stopped the 3DS development and moved that on to Switch, which is what happened, because the rest of the game would work in 3DS. But anyway, we don't need to talk about the past. We're talking about Pokemon Legends Arceus, or Arceus, which is set in the past, but it should be the future of Pokemon, and that's what I'll say about it. I'm going to go back into this game. I've already spent 23 hours on it, which is a long time for me these days, and as you know, for any game. But I find some parts of it just really nice to play, and I'll say this: I finished the game and I couldn't see one Pokemon that I was like, no. Okay, there's too many fish, but they look like fish. There's nothing that's like a fish hook. There's nothing that's like a pair of keys. There's nothing that's, oh, this one's a car wheel. Oh, what's that Pokemon? Oh, it's coffee cup. Like, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
It all felt like believable animals, whether I knew them or not.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it. I liked fighting the alphas. I liked catching the alphas. I didn't really know who the mystical Pokemon were at the end, but I've seen them before because they were on the DS covers for Pearl and Diamond. Do you know those? I don't know their names, but they're there. I like how some of them are harder to catch than others. I like how some of them only come out at night. I like the space-time portals that come down that look like our background just now, that bring you Pokemon from the past sorry, spoilers if you're not there yet, but you can go in and catch Pokemon from older games in there, which is really awesome. And yeah, there wasn't much faffing. There wasn't much like some of the quests are really go here and pick up this and come back to me, but in the main story, if just going story to story, because I didn't mess about with too many side quests, I did them as they came up, but it didn't have too many go to this tower, climb up the tower, fight 3 guys, now come back. Remember, like I said in Sword, they had a false start to the ending 3 times or something. Yeah, and then you have to fight all the guys that you fought before. Nothing like that in this game at all. You had to fight some Team Rocket-esque kind of guys in this game at some point, and I wished they came out more. I even said that to Fraser just before I got to the end. I'm like, these were underused. They needed to bring them out and try and stop me with their nefarious plans more, and they didn't. They just kind of came and went, and I liked the nobles. Trying to calm them down was quite cool. It was different. I'd never seen that before in a Pokemon game. Some of them easier than others. The Electrode one was really difficult, which I think was the 4th noble Pokemon, second last one. He was harder than even the final boss, in my mind. But yeah, apart from that, I really enjoyed it. I really liked where it was going. There's still more for this game to show me, because it's not just a case of, yeah, there's no more story, just go and fill your Pokedex. It's like, no, we've got guys that have got quests here for you. You've got this to do, and oh, this area's now going to open up for you. And like, I thought Obsidian Fields was big, Andy, and then you get to the last stage, well, the second to last stage, the snow stage. It's like, holy fuck. Like, I'm going to have to put a lot of markers down here, because this is very vast. Like the Cobalt Coastlands, which is just basically a beach with an island with a volcano in the middle, that's small. That was smaller than the first area. And then they had the volcanic area, the ice area. But the last ice area is huge. And I'm okay with them being split like that. It would be nice if you could just walk to them, yes. But I would argue that's the Switch technology, being able to do that and render all these Pokemon in different areas and like programming, I don't know. But it works for me all in. Anyway, Andy, the floor is yours. Say what you like about Pokemon. It's up to you, because I've said my piece. I thought it was great. I hope you like it eventually, because I know you didn't like it at the start, and I'm going to be interested to see what you've found so far now that you've finally beat that tutorial, Andy.
The tutorial is absolute garbage. It's probably one of the worst ones I've ever come across in a game, because it lasts way too long, and like Alex said, it's an hour. It took me easily 2 hours to get through it. Now, I definitely fell asleep a few times playing this because it was so fucking boring. The text in it is just garbage, just nonsense drivel that they're talking. The story is just there. Like, there's no need for the story. I could have happily skipped all of the dialogue and all of the tutorial sections, and I would be doing absolutely fine with the game. So yeah, I totally agree that they should have like a I've played a video game before button. You can just skip all of that bullshit, because once you actually get into the game, it's fun. Like the biggest problem with the beginning part of it for me is that it's so stop start. Like it'll be like, oh right, here's how you move around. Okay, fine. Right, now stop. Listen to me talk for 5 minutes. Okay, now we need to load. Right, okay. And now we need to tell you how to catch a Pokemon. Okay, cool. Oh, that was fun. I like that. Okay, cool. Right, you know how you just had fun there? Well, I'm not going to let you do that for another hour. Like, you need to go and speak to this man, and this man, and this man, and this man, and this man. And then you'll get to go out and do a trial to catch a Pokemon. I'm like, oh my god. Just that whole beginning part of the game was so tedious that, like, I was almost done with the game before I even started it because it was so boring. But once you get past that, actually quite fun, and you're allowed to go out and roam around the open world. Once you get into that, and you can go around just catch whatever Pokemon you want if you can catch them. Like, some of them are easier than others, like Ali says. It's satisfying though, because like you can just see it, and if you can see it, you can chuck a Pokeball at it, and it might catch it. It doesn't always, but some of them you have to beat them down a wee bit first. So you have to get into a fight with them. You chuck your Pokemon at it. And I actually disagree with you saying like the open world is empty. I don't think it feels empty at all, because there's so many Pokemon in it, and like that's what this world is. It's just full of random wild Pokemon. I think they could have had a bit more in the beginning area. Definitely, they could have had a bit more diversity of the different Pokemon that you had in there. 'Cause it was like, oh, there's like the pigeon one, and there's the one that looks like a little elephant, the Sphinx or whatever it is. And then there's like one that looks like a little fox with I can't remember what it's like, a swimming fox or whatever. And that's about it. Oh, and there's a little pig one. But that's it. That's all you have. So they could have done with like, I would have loved to have gone out into the open world for the first time and seen like 50 different Pokemon. Like That would have been crazy. And that would have been the way that I would have liked to do it, but that's how they started off. But yeah, it sounds like that kind of happens later in the game, from what Ali's talking about, how many Pokemon he's managed to see in collecting that. So,
I mean, I've not even seen about 100 of the Pokemon in this game. Like I've seen 151. There's 242 total.
cool. I do like how there's like some of the older Pokemon that are just like will show up randomly in it. Like there was a Pikachu showed up. Like
There's an Eevee in the first area.
Game. Yeah, I picked up an Eevee, and then one of the guys has an Abra. He's got like in his office.
See those? I know I said in comment, but there's Abras in the. See when you see an Abra, you really have to play the stealth mechanic because the minute you know how they've got the wee, do they see you?
Beach bubble thing, yeah.
They disappear. The minute they're like, okay, I heard you there, I'm going to disappear, and that's them gone. And you have to go back, usually fast travel and walk back to reload that sort of area. Sorry, I wasn't interrupting in a bad way.
I like the whole thing of like catching the Pokemon, and like it's cool that you've got the objectives to like catch more than one of the same Pokemon, because otherwise why would you bother catching more than one? Like I've already caught a Bidoof, why would I catch another one? But you can sort of level them up.
So yeah, that made total sense to me as well, because in the old games it was like once you've caught one, that's the whole entry in the Pokédex. It's like there you go, you've unlocked it. But see now, like you've just said, it gives you reasons and like mini missions for each Pokemon to do it. And like if you're a completionist, one of these guys that has to do every side quest, you're going to love it, because it's not just catch one and it's ticked off. Even for the basic players like myself, if you want that full Pokédex entry with the Pokeball to verify it, you need to do at least 10 of the objectives, like catch 4 or 5 of them, or like fight it 3-4 times, or see it use a certain move, and they're different for each Pokemon. The good thing is these do happen without you specifically selecting them and trying to do it. Like as you progress in the game and use it to battle, it will level up. It will add to the Pokédex as well, and when you catch a new one, it will show you what moves it's used. But I think it's a really good system that they've got in place to engage you more, rather than just catch it once. Because in the old Pokemon games, if I seen the original forest with the Caterpies, I know they're Wurmples in this, and they're not called Wurmples, it's different Pokemon, but the same thing. Caterpie in the original one, once you've caught one, you ain't going back and catching 5 or 6 more, because there's no reason to. Whereas in this, because like you said, the mechanic's so satisfying, like I think they've taken the best feeling from Pokemon Go or Let's Go and they've combined it into this, and it really feels fun to catch them. Whereas in the old games, it was press A. You had no control.
And I think it's actually more fun in this game than catching them in Let's Go. Like I don't know, I never ever found it fun in Let's Go. But in this one, it does fit, especially when you can like sneak up and you can catch them from the back, and it's like makes that little ping noise. I'm like, ooh, I get the ping noise. Not that. I don't like that noise.
You don't like the
you
like the do 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 do. You like that. Do do do.
See when you get the sort of perfect catch noise, like when you what's it called, when you like back attack them sort of thing. Like I like that noise. That's a good noise. That's the noise I want.
Sputtery fireworks, no.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that.
I thought it was a cool idea with the Pokeballs being old fashioned.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's like, but it feels a bit gimmicky. Like, I'd rather they just give me a normal Pokeball, to be honest.
But the technology wasn't there.
Oh yeah, totally. I get it. It does feel gimmicky. But no, so far I'm enjoying it now that I've gotten to the open world part. Like, but that was such a slog, like, real big slog to get through all that bullshit at the start, man. Like, it was very off-putting. Did not enjoy it. I don't know if kids will enjoy that. To be honest, I don't think they will, because it's a lot of reading and about stuff they won't care about at all.
They might care about more
even
than
less
you.
than me.
Like Pokemon fans, not less than you. If you're a kid and a fan of Pokemon, you're going to want to lap up all this information, like 100%. Because it was like I said before this, like comparing me playing Let's Go Pikachu to seeing Lexi's face playing it, like it's a whole different world. But for us, there should have been I've played a video game at least once in my life before.
Yeah, I do think that this game suffers from bad load times. The load times are really bad.
I haven't found them bad at all, to be fair, man, and I don't think the OLED does anything that the OG did.
Because you haven't played enough PS5.
Series X.
Because the PS5 load.
Series X is faster.
It's not. PS5 is actually faster.
It is.
It's not. PS5 load is faster. It's a fact.
It's not
the SSD's faster. But anyway, like from playing a lot of like PS5 and Series X, I'm used to like games loading fast or having no load times. And like this game, it's like there's an actual load screen, and I'd kind of forgotten what these are, and you're just sitting there like, because the load screen doesn't tell you anything. It's just like
A wee guy
here's a picture. Look at this picture for like 20 seconds. You're like, okay. And then it will cut you from like you'll get to it, like you'll get to your next objective marker, and it'll cut you to a black screen, and then put you into like, here's the conversation that you're in. Just put me straight in the conversation. Like this is what I need to do, and when you need to tell me something, just walk and talk. Walk and talk. You can't see it.
I'm playing
The
it
load
just now.
screen, yeah.
It's not a load screen.
I can't see it for the thing, but yeah, just walk and talk. Like that's one of the things about like if they had voice acting in the game, they could do that because they could. I wouldn't mind listening to them telling me about the backstory of the world or like how the mechanics of the game work and all that sort of shit. If they told me it while I was moving from place to place, because that would cut the time in half at least for that tutorial. But you could easily cover that in 10 minutes. Like it doesn't need to take more than an hour. Definitely not. Graphic wise, I think it's fine to be fair. Like, no issues with the graphics. I think it looks alright. Like, it's not the greatest looking game in the world, but like, it's got a certain kind of charm about it, and it's more about the art style of the Pokemon and whatnot, which I think look fine. I do agree with you about throwing the Pokeball in the battle. That it's just like, oh, it's a bit shit that you just push a button rather than throw the Pokeball. Kind of sucks, but alright, fair enough. Maybe it's because you don't have an option to get another Pokeball if you're on your last one. It's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know. It was just kind of.
Yeah, because it loads into the battle pretty decently.
I think that's quite fluid. Like you throw the Pokemon, it goes zoom, the Pokemon rolls, and you're in the battle, and you can move about in the battle. If you stand in front, have you noticed if you accidentally walk in front of the other Pokemon doing a move, it hits you? Like, which is quite cool.
Oh, I haven't done that.
Yeah, but that's a neat feature.
The Pokemon have attacked me like when I've been out in the world, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to pull a Pokemon out. Like I can't do anything against this tiny Pokemon that can seemingly kill me.
Yeah.
It's not like I couldn't just fucking stand on it or kick it. But no, I like this game so far. Like, well, if it was attacking me, fucking right. Like, if it's sending like electric shocks at me or like fire bolts or whatnot, yeah, I need to defend myself. But you use the Pokemon. I come across like one thing so far that had big glowing red eyes.
That's the alphas, so they're like bigger than the normal Pokemon, and they're like stronger and wild. And you kind of have to calm them down by beating them or catching them. They're tough.
Yeah, so like that. Yeah, it was like a big Sphinx thing, and I think it was like it said it was level 40. But I didn't notice that it said like a level for it. At first, I was like, "Oh, there's a Pokemon. Like, I'll go. It looks like I should fight it." Because it was being quite aggressive, so I'm like, I'll fight it, it's fine. And it took out like 3 of my Pokemon in like one hit. I was like, oh my god, I need to run away. So I ran away from him. But I thought the sort of first boss, whatever it's called,
the noble.
I can't remember what it was called.
Noble Pokemon. It's like the one that's glowing yellow and gone crazy, and you have to like throw bombs at it.
No, I just had to fight it normally.
That's not a boss.
Easy.
That's like a mid.
Well, it had red eyes anyway, and it was like they pitched it like a boss fight, and then you meet the sort of, I can't remember what it's called. I don't know the names of most of these guys. You meet the sort of the white flying horse thing just after that, and it's like, oh, you can ride on this potentially later.
Oh, the deer. It's a deer.
Yeah, it was not that you fought, but you fought some other thing just before that. Like, okay, and that was fine. I got through that one fine because it was a lot lower level, but yeah, it's good so far. Like, I don't think it's great, but it's good. The load times are too long for me to consider it to be great.
Well, that load time there just took like literally 5 seconds. Like, I don't know if it's the OLED. I don't think the OLEDs get anything different inside. I generally don't. I know sometimes you can get games loading quicker when it's docked as well, but I haven't found an issue with load times personally. But I mean, I play a lot more Switch these days. Yeah,
it's just that I've noticed them, I think, rather than anything else. They're probably not really that long, but I'm just perceiving them more because I'm noticing them, because like playing on console.
I mean, you keep saying playing on PS5. What is it you're playing on PS5 you're finding so fast? Like specifically?
Just every game.
Just tell me a game that's not Life is Strange that could run on a PS3.
Even like your old Xbox 360 games running on Series X, these load fast.
I agree, Series X is quick, but you kept saying PS5, so I was just wondering specifically.
Both of them are the same.
PS5 I haven't really found too quick. I've played a lot of PS5 games recently. I was just wondering what one you had that was super fast.
All of the games.
Every game runs fast.
Every game.
Okay.
But like if you look at like Spider-Man and things like that, the actual new games.
Spider-Man, I'll give you okay. Spider-Man, good example.
These games like super fast.
You're playing on a very different system. Remember, you've got to remember this is playing. I know. This is basically Wii U architecture inside.
Yeah, I know. It's totally spoiled me, like playing on the new gen consoles.
But it's not as much of a hassle as you're making out. It's not like a justified complaint. It would be different if you could sit down and go for a cup of tea. You can't.
Not a cup of tea, but like I could probably go and get a bag of crisps, come back.
Very doubtful. Well, your Switch must be running. If that's the case, I'm not just saying this. Your Switch must be running wrong, because absolutely not. Not to go and get a bag of crisps unless you've got your bag of crisps at the end of the couch.
I'll time it like the next time I play it. See how long it is.
It could literally just be the age of your Switch. You've got a launch Switch.
Yeah, I do have a launch Switch. But I'll time it and I'll let you know how long it is. It's probably like 10 seconds.
Probably is.
But I believe that it's been too long because I'm used to like no load time.
For what it's doing on the system it's a very short load time.
Anyway, it is a kind of minor gripe, but like I'm enjoying the game. It's good fun. I like this whole business of just running around and collecting the Pokemon. That's actually probably more fun to me than progressing the story. Like the reason I'm wanting to progress the story is just to find different Pokemon. Because I do think the variety in the beginning areas, they could have had more different Pokemon in it.
Oh yeah.
Because there's not very many. There's like 4 or 5 different ones you can catch in each of the first sort of couple areas, which is kind of a bit shit. Because they're not very good ones either.
No, at the start the Pokemon selection's quite poor.
Yeah.
But
you've got your starter, and then you've got like the standard sort of ones that you see, the type of ones that you see in every Pokemon game. You have like a little pig, a flying, like a pigeon type thing.
Yeah.
Or like that sort of shit. So.
What starter Pokemon did you pick?
I picked Cyndaquil. It's the only one his name that I know. Yes, the Fire Hedgehog, because he looks cool. He kind of looks like a dinosaur with his big like fire back thing.
Kind of. I chose the water one because I like the water Pokemon in Pokemon games. Like
when I played Pokemon Blue, which is my only real reference point for this because I played Sword and didn't like it. I had Bulbasaur. He was my guy.
Bulbasaur's good, yeah.
Bulbasaur was cool. Good. But I didn't really like the other Pokemon. It was like there was like a sleepy owl, and then there was like the other one. I don't like those.
The otter, the wee otter guy is the one I got.
Yeah.
He's kind of cool. I liked him. I didn't like just an owl, because as much as I keep saying I like Pokemon to look like actual animals, see when it does just look like an owl, I'm like, I don't want that.
There's like the one that's just a bird.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a bird.
Like the pigeons that I'm kicking about. Starly, yeah, that's it. I keep saying Pidgey because, like, I'm not just saying this, but it's like there's too many to learn. Like, I didn't keep up with it. I know the original 151 thanks to the Pokemon rap in the 90s. Like, it got instilled into us. It's like when you said the Pokemon should say their names, and I'm like, yeah, it could become a mess and really annoying hearing that constantly, but I get it. The reason that was done in the anime was because they wanted kids to learn all the Pokemon's names, so when the Pokemon roared, it said its own name, which is crazy.
Yeah. I think that would work perfectly in this game where I'm at in it right now, because the Pokemon are clustered together where it's like you'll come across like 4 of the Sphinxy looking one or like 3 Starlies. So that would work completely fine. Like if you walk up to them and they're like, Starly.
Yeah, really annoying. Imagine those voice lines overlapping each other. Cause oh man, it would get so annoying.
Fine. It would encourage you to catch them so that they would shut up. And then at the end of the game is just to turn the world into complete silence because there's no Pokemon chirping.
I don't think they'll ever do it in the games though, because that was a thing from the anime. I mean, they introduced Pikachu because he's the most popular, recognizable one.
Even if they said it in the fucking battle or something.
Just
like
once.
Just once.
Yeah, I'll give you that,
That
right?
would work.
So when you
Yeah.
go in a battle, if it went like Charmander or something and it said its name, yeah,
Exactly.
perfect. And then
Yeah.
the rest of the time it can make its wee noises. Because there's
Yeah.
one noise that I really like, and it's the big cricket tune, I think his name is, and he goes, whoop, whoop, whoop. He makes like a whoop noise like that, and I'm like, yeah, I like him. I like that. That's kind of scary almost as well.
Each one does have a different unique noise.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
to
but they're just
So they could
spoken
program
voice
it to
lines.
be the log.
Yeah, but I would turn it off if that was an option because that would just get annoying. But like it could work a good way if, like you said, you start a battle and
In the battle.
it said their name and that was it. But in the wild they made those noises, but at the battle, yeah, that I would be happy with that. But before that happens, they need to have voice acting. But what I'll say to the people holding their breath waiting for voice acting in the next one, look at Zelda. Look at Legend of Zelda. Barely voice acted in Breath of the Wild. Mario is that Nintendo aren't big for voice acting really.
They do it in some like Luigi does it sometimes, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not exactly like he's in an RPG saying all his lines like Link is. Link doesn't speak, and even up until the most recent game, there was no spoken dialogue in Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time. Like none of these giant RPGs was there any spoken words, and Nintendo were just like, so. Original Final Fantasy VII, there was no spoken word either when you think back to it. So it is a thing that's done, and Nintendo are very much like, don't follow trends. I think it would be nice to have voice acting for the cutscenes. Okay, I'll say
Final
this.
Fantasy have been doing it since
they have.
the PS2.
Yeah, they have. But
Final Fantasy 10.
They have, right. But even in the PS2 ones, it wasn't spoken all the time. It was just in cutscenes. So I'll give them that, right? See if their next game, like in the wild, right, if it's just readable dialogue, fine. But you need to have spoken words in the cutscenes. When they speak to each other, I don't care if it's in-game graphics because it worked fine for this. Like the style for it was good. But see, when you're having to constantly push for the next text box, it's like just let them speak. In these cutscenes, let them speak. Because there's some RPGs till this day that does that, like Xenoblade, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 most recently. They spoke in the cutscenes, but when you met somebody for a side quest, it would just be text. That's fine. Or they would go like, huh? Huh? You know, they make noises like that. Just do that. That would like make it a more engrossing world for me. I just think when there's this much, and there's quite a lot of text in the cutscenes. So for me, it's like just make it spoken next time. That's you've got the money. Just hire the voice actors, and then it's just drop the MP4 file in. Job done.
Yeah, I think so as well. But it's good so far. Like I'm maybe.
Do you think you're going to finish it?
4 or 5 hours in. Well, I mean, it sounds like it's quite. It sounds like it's quite short. Like I want to.
It's still 23 hours. It's still 23.
Yeah, that's quite. I mean, that's quite short for like a RPG. Like Mass Effect 2 is going to take me way longer than that to beat.
No, you're right. Well, no, it's not. Mass Effect 2, you can do it. I've finished Mass Effect 2 before in 18 hours.
Yeah, I'm already like at 8 hours,
so
maybe 9 hours.
So for you, this game will be longer than 22 hours. I guarantee it. 23 hours, sorry.
Not in Pokemon.
Yes,
Pokemon, I'm like
4
or 5.
For you to finish it, it'll be longer than 23 hours.
Probably, yeah.
So what I'm saying is Mass Effect 2, average time's about 25, 30 hours. So it's not really that short. It's just not as big as maybe a Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Because even when you think of Zelda's only 30. No, it's not. Zelda's only 30 hours.
It feels bigger, though.
It does feel bigger. Zelda's only 30 hours. Remember Zelda Breath of the Wild? 30, 35 hours.
Yeah.
Well, you could spend longer in it, but then this game does give you like the sort.
Mine was like 80.
Yeah, yours was long. I've spent more time in it, but to beat the actual main game, like it was about 35. But that's what I mean. Like Zelda's an RPG. Yeah. I know there's a big argument over whether Zelda's are RPGs or action, but to me, it's RPG. I would say it's a role play game with action elements.
It's definitely an RPG. Pokemon's an RPG as well. It's like
because your team is
kind of you're leveling them up and whatnot. You're leveling yourself up as well. Like I'm level 1.
Oh yeah, you've got your ranks. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, it gives you enough pats in the backs, like to keep you going. Like, okay, you can work towards your next rank, or you've got a Pokédex to fill. You want to evolve your Pokemon. Like, there's a lot of options.
Oh, there is one other thing that bugs me about the game. That is the see when you catch the Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you've caught different varieties of the same Pokemon.
Yeah.
And not like it'll show you a picture of them. There's no difference. They're the same. Like
it's because the size and the weights and sometimes the gender.
Yeah. they look the exact same though. Like does
No,
the
no,
like the
no,
girl?
no. I'll say no, no, because not all
Maybe
Pokemon
not
look.
for every Pokemon. Maybe not
No,
for every Pokemon, right?
Pikachu's
But like,
have different coloured, have different shaped tails. There's specific missions later on to catch two of the hippopotamus or whatever they're called, and they've got different colour schemes. You can catch bigger versions that actually look physically bigger on the open world. Like, see those wee hedgehog things, Bidoofs, right? So they're in the. See if you walk around long enough, you'll see a wee small one, you'll see a giant one next to it, and it's not an alpha, it's just a bigger version, and you can catch smaller and bigger ones. And there's
so
like,
does that reflect though when you catch it and then when
yeah,
you throw it back out as one of your
yes,
Pokemon?
yes,
Okay, that's cool. I just haven't seen that yet then because like
ah,
it or the differences have been negligible
yeah,
to me because
fair enough.
they haven't looked any different.
Because like just now, right at the end, you have to fight a few Pokemon you can catch. Like, there's alphas in the game, so you have to fight a few alphas. I'm not ruining anything here. And then obviously you've got your legendary ones that there's no surprise to anyone at the end of the game. So at the moment I've got the alphas from the end, the two legendaries. Well, the two legendaries before going into the big legendary, and I've got one of my starters, right? Well, I say one of my starters because I went and caught the fire monkey, and it's now Infernape. So when I throw them all out the Pokeball, because you can have them all standing next to each other, my monkey's like tiny, but I'm like, okay, so I know there's an island where there's an alpha version and he's giant, and I want to catch him so that he doesn't look as small. But in battle scenes and when you let him out the Pokeball, he's in proportion to what the difference is in proportion to six.
That's kind of cool. Well, that's good. That I had no issue then because that is fixed.
Yeah, it wasn't an issue. It's just you haven't come across it yet. Yes, at the start bit especially, most of the birds are relatively the same. Like there's a side mission at the start where it's like catch me a bigger one of the weasels, one of the swimming weasel things, and I had to go to the bottom of the horseshoe area. I can't remember the name of it, Horseshoe Ridge or whatever it is, where there's the giant Rapidash that's alpha. So I had to run past that and go over the water, and I seen them. I was like, oh, they look bigger, and they were bigger. Because I kept going back to this. It's one of the guards that gives you this mission. And he's like, oh, catch me a bigger one. I did. And when I let out the Pokeball, it's a bigger Pokemon. And I like some of them because they're actually at the point in the Pokemon world story where they're still scared of them. They're not working with them because modern day Pokemon games, they're running the hospitals. They're part of the police, And in this, it's cool because sometimes they're like, oh, I wonder if there's a Pokemon that could help me do this. And that's a side mission. You have to go and catch that Pokemon, bring it back. And they're like, this is wonderful. And you're actually helping this village learn to live and adapt with the Pokemon, which is really cool. I do like the side quests as well. All in, it's decent. I'm glad I didn't finish them all. Not that it doesn't give you enough to do at the end, but I don't always want to do main quest. Sometimes I'm like, well, I need to go and explore, because there was quite a few times where I had to stop and grind. And the reasons that I had to stop and grind was because I just rushed through the story and I was simply gated, because it was like, you need to be level 5 to get into that area. And I'm like, yeah, well, what if I just want to go in that area? And that annoyed me, but I understood because the Pokemon were higher level, so it made sense. But if I had spent the time doing the side quests, you know how you'll get like 4 or 5 missions, side missions or requests popping up?
Yeah.
You should do them, because if you just ignore them and like I did, then you'll be underpowered. It'll be like, oh, for fuck's sake, you have to go back and do side missions and catch Pokemon. And it's like, not that there's a problem catching Pokemon, I said that in a bad way, but it feels grindy if you do it the way I did. If you play it naturally and do the missions as they're asked, then you get to explore, you get to play it how it should be. And by the end of the game, I'd kind of changed what I was doing and went back to that method of playing the missions as they came up. But in the first, like, at least 3 areas, I just beasted my way to the main mission objective and finished that. And I think it was about the fourth or fifth level. It started holding me back because it was like, no, you need to fill your Pokédex now, because I wasn't even catching. I was just running through areas going, I just want to finish this game now. And I shouldn't have. I don't feel like I rushed it. I feel like I brought it back round. But if I could go back and redo it, then I would have done the side missions at the same time, because the only times I feel a bit underwhelmed with the game was when it was like, you're not high enough level. And it happened twice. And it shouldn't have happened. It just meant I had to go back to the previous area and actually spend time in it. And when I was spending time in these areas, I was loving it. I was like, oh, cool, there's one of those Pokemon from either Pokemon that I don't know or Pokemon I've seen, and I'll go and try and catch it. Or like you said, you see the alpha and like they become like mini boss battles, and you can try and catch them later on and they become stronger for your team, or you can just use them as training for your Pokemon, as a higher level fight, which is quite cool. The crafting in it wasn't too offensive again in this game either, because you get a key crafting kit quite soon, because he says it's like 3,000 to build Pokeballs, and if you go and I never used the craft table in the village or at the tent because they charge you. You're given a crafting kit, and it's like, well, as long as I've got apricons and the stone, I can make Pokeballs on the go. So that's what I did for the whole game.
Yeah, I didn't find any stones yet. Like, I don't know what the stones are.
The stones are like the glowing diamond formations. Like, they'll stick up like red usually, and you just throw your Pokemon at it.
Oh, okay, right. I thought I needed a specific Pokemon to be able to take those down.
You just throw your Pokemon at it, and it'll go ding. Yeah, in the old games they had things like strength and surf and fly.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't happen in this game. You kind of befriend noble or guardian Pokemon.
I do with the trees plenty, like throw the Pokeball at the tree.
Same thing for the stones, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. You just throw your Pokemon at it and it'll knock them. You can throw more than one Pokemon, so see if you throw your Pokemon at a tree, see if you turn around, you can swap Pokemon, you can throw another one out at a rock, and then you can turn one around and throw one at an enemy, or you can throw a Pokeball and catch it. It's quite impressive.
And then you can just move on and everyone gets picked up automatically, which is cool.
Yep, so I walk about doing that, and it's handy sometimes if you're on top of a cliff, you're like, I can't be bothered climbing down there, you just throw your Pokemon down and then it comes back. I do that quite a lot. So, yeah.
So far I'm enjoying it, apart from the long tutorial. I'm
surprised at how much I liked it, considering my experience with Pokemon in the past. I just think the games didn't change. In fact, I don't think the games didn't change up until Sword. They didn't change. It was the same formula over and over, and they could have sold that to the end of time. So my hat's off to them for actually going, do you know what? Let's make the good one finally. Because I bet you there's somebody at Game Freak moaning or somebody at Nintendo complaining saying, let's give them the good one finally. And they're like, no, now's not the time. And eventually they went, stop moaning, go and make the good one then. And this is what we've got. And I'm glad that this has happened. And the funny thing is they were kind of pushing it as, we're not going to confirm whether it's main story or not. Because if this had flopped, they would have said, yes, a side story, it doesn't matter. Main Pokemon about end of the year. But see now the fact this is successful, man, they're going to go all in this type of gameplay. This is going to be the way Pokemon has to be in the future. Because if they release, I don't think we're going to get a Sword Shield game this year. But next year, when the next colour game comes out, if it's back to the old ways, people are going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I couldn't play a Pokemon game like that now. Not that I like them anyway, but that's like evolving to like.
What does Fraser think of it? Like, does he?
He loves it. Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah.
And the general consensus I'm getting from everybody I've seen covering it or comments on Twitter is very positive. Yeah. I mean, Davis, I don't think he's ever been on the show, but you probably have heard us speaking about him. He went and bought a Switch Lite and just to play this game.
Cool.
Just to play this game. He's finished it already as well. I wonder if he's going to return the Switch. He bought it brand new. He didn't buy it from like a returnable shop. But I mean, within 30 days, if he's not damaged it, you could return that technically. Not that I recommend doing it. Switch is a good console to have, and you're getting 4 years out now anyway. But yes, we'll be back next week. I think that's about it for today. But overall consensus from us is for our Pokemon discussion is Pokemon's good this time, which is a surprise because it's not been good for years, decades. But yeah, I would say try it out. I'd definitely say pick it up if you can see it. If you like Breath of the Wild and you've got an interest in Pokemon, you're gonna like it.
Just get through that beginning tutorial. Like once you get past that, it's good fun.
Take you an hour, which is longer than it should. Or if you're Andy, what do you think of the water in this game? Actually, I've seen some nice water before we finish. I've seen some nice water.
Switch water in it, like.
What area are you on though?
Well, I just beat that sort of boss thing.
First aid.
Yeah.
Obsidian Fieldland still.
Sure, I couldn't tell you what it's called, but
because you go to the next place is like a bog, like with marsh with swamps. Are you there yet? No.
Maybe it's all kind of. There's a lot of water.
Crimson Mirelands or Cobalt Coastlands has got a volcano island, and you're kind of on a cove of beach.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Right, so you're probably in the first area. So like, there's nice water. I thought it was nice water, as you said, for Switch, but. Anyway, we'll be back next week with some more thoughts. Maybe Andy will have traded Pokemon by then. Who knows? It is Andy after all. I finished it. I will be playing more of it. Hopefully I'll be playing more of Far Cry 6. Yeah, thanks very much for tuning in and watching. Apologies for spelling discussion wrong. Colonel Borisovich Volgin, as you commented. But hey, we did discuss Pokemon for half of the show, and hopefully there was not audio issues like last week. So if you want to like and subscribe, do it. If you want to tell a pal, even better. Just tune in next week. We'll see you then.